This is Ophelia Villa, the home that the Goth family resides in The Sims 4. I actually gave you guys a poll about how to furnish it a while ago, and these are the results. So that's what we'll be running with. Of course, that's happening a bit later in the video. Let's just go through this house first, talk about what I like, what I don't like, and how much of a struggle it was to pick a direction for this video. We've got a huge entry hall that opens straight into the formal dining. We also have a casual dining spot in the kitchen, a little half bath, and a formal living room. And if we go up those massive stairs, we open right into a large landing with a little bit of a piano spot. And then we have 2 bedrooms on this floor. And if we go upstairs, there's 1 more bedroom in the tower. A lot of people rebuild it as a Gothic revival Victorian, which makes a lot of sense because it is the Goth family. And it does share some aspects, mostly just being clearly of a Victorian influence. However, there are a few things not quite right. So let's jump over to Pinterest and I'll show you what I mean. First of all, I want you to note that there are no flat roofs. We do have the towers, we have these octagons, we have the tall windows. Some of the windows even have a bit of a curve to them, but overall, clearly these are not the same style. I really want to do the rebuild right, and that means that we are going Italianate. Now, hopefully immediately in these pictures, you can see the similarities with the frieze, the wraparound deck, the flatter roofs, the towers. There's just way more overlap with this style. So I'm going to be drawing inspiration from the Italianate Victorian style to build this home out. And of course, we'll do a before and after at the end. I've enabled free build so we don't have to bother with a budget because I'm pretty sure the Goths have old money. And goodbye house. One thing that I definitely want to keep is that walking straight into a central hallway. I think 4 tiles wide will be totally fine. I'm going to put it toward the middle because usually Italianate homes have the entrance sort of toward the middle. And I'm going to make it 13 tiles deep. Why 13 tiles? Because I build all of these ahead of time, so I have a map to go from. And I am actually still going to put the dining room at the end of the hall. It's just going to be a separate room. I'm going to go with 5 by 6. And then off to this side, I'm going to add the kitchen. So I'm going to start this off as a 6 tile by 6 tile square. Half bathroom here, a little butler's pantry sort of situation happening, and then pull this out to the front to meet up, and this will be our new formal living room. Now over on this side, I really want to add some sort of like sunroom. It just felt like something that family would have. So I'm building that out around the side here, about like that. And then I'm going to add another living space here. And I also really want to add an office. This is pretty blocky. Obviously we need to spruce it up a little bit, add some of those original octagon tower shapes back in. Did I make this too wide? I did. Okay, everything on this side was 1 tile too wide. I am so sorry about that. Okay, anyway. So I'm going to do that by grabbing this little custom room tool and draw a little half octagon here, go back to my wall tool, hold control, remove the wall, bam. And I'm also going to add one of those over on this room. Now this won't be super centered in the room, but because of where I'm going to be placing windows and fireplaces, it does work out pretty well. Of course, we can't leave the dining room hanging. We're going to give them a nice big bay window as well and throw down some stairs real quick. The child whose name I can never remember is going to have his bedroom over in this area, so he will still get access to that tower, but also it's not like he's stuck in the attic. Like he has an actual bedroom, it just also has a tower. I don't know. I felt bad just sticking the kid in the attic, you know? And we'll add a nice bathroom here, which will connect right to our main bedroom, which we will square off like so. This little spot right here is going to become another ensuite for this bedroom. And we're going to add another bedroom in the back. You've probably noticed that this is 1 additional bedroom compared to what we started with the original build. When the base game update came out of Neighborhood Stories, it became very apparent very quickly that it wasn't really planned for in a lot of the homes. Like none of the homes have extra bedrooms for all those additional babies or for families to switch houses. I've been really trying to make a point of adding additional bedrooms in one form or another, whether I use it as a guest bedroom or a nursery, depending on sort of the age and general temperament of the family, just to make it make sense with the way that the game has evolved. I guess. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me throw some lights down so you guys can see because you do like that. And I'm going to make the 2nd story medium wall height as well as the tower. So overall, this is still going to be a very tall, very grand build. We do need to add that wraparound deck, which looks like I've actually placed the house too far to the left. So I'm going to move it to the right here. That looks good. I've actually changed the wraparound deck to be on the other side, just because I really wanted this tower to stand out and not be broken up by a wraparound deck. And I'm going to go through and build this using a bunch of deck pieces because I have these bay windows, which can make building things a little bit more difficult. And I also really want to have those round corners on it still. So I'm going to use the rounded deck, which is going to take away a wall briefly, just because for whatever reason, the rounded decks actually place with an additional tile on the side. So I don't know if you can see that if I highlight sort of the curved tile area. The one side I removed the additional tile, and the other side I haven't. I don't know why they place like that, but they do. And then we'll pull this around. Ooh, another thing I wanted to add was a pool, because pools were not included with the base game, but I kind of feel like this family would have a pool, so we're going to give them one. And of course, it can't just be any old normal rectangular pool. We're going to give it a little bit of a fun shape. So this is what that's looking like so far, and if we go up a level, I am going to more or less duplicate the same deck. I can actually start by just copying and placing it, which shouldn't remove any walls. Fabulous, fabulous. But I don't actually want this whole area to be covered anymore, so I'm going to draw a little wall and do a little delete, and there we go. Of course, we will have fencing all around all of it. And for a little extra flair, I'm even going to add a tiny bit extending right in front of our door here. My tile count might have been off again. I do apologize. I'm going to scooch these back one tile. I just needed to have space to put stairs. Now we do have to work on the roof. The roof is mostly flat. However, I did want to take a little bit of traditional roof as well. What we're actually going to do is grab a fence. Doesn't matter which fence. Now I'm gonna turn the grid on and put it down on this level, and what I want to do is draw 2 tiles in all the way around. In order to keep a fence up here, we are going to have to make sure that the walls of our roof don't actually hit the fence. So we need 1 tile for the roof to sort of sit on that green box of the roof, the roof walls. That's English. And then 1 to extend the eaves, which will make a lot more sense in about 30 seconds. I'm going to raise this. I'm going to start with twice. I don't remember what I did. Here's what I mean by the roof situation. So if I just place this here and bring it down to 2 tiles, I'm going to tuck the eaves in just to start with. I'm going to pitch it down. Very nice. Except it's not, because it gets rid of the fence. So what we're going to do is push this back so you can watch that green line go back to the 1 tile. And then if I hold shift, I can extend just this 1 eave. So now it looks pretty much the same, but our fence is still there. I do actually want eaves. One of the staples of the Italianate style is in fact pretty deep eaves, which makes it set apart once again from the majority of the Victorian homes that it was built around the same time as. And we're going to go with a nice frieze. Now either the frieze spirit or the modern frieze have that traditional Italian sort of shape. And for a color palette, you guys remember, well, I'll just show you again. So these were the results from that poll that I gave you about how to sort of update the Goth's home, because I'm all for black and white and red. I do personally love those colors, but we can all agree that the Goths kind of deserve something a little bit more stylish. And now I'm going to go through and place a combination of half gable, half hipped roof pieces, which again I'll push back to just be 1 tile wide, extend these eaves, pitch it down till it matches up so I can wrap around the corners. There we go. So basically I'm just going to do this, repeating all the way around here, which should give me a pretty decent roof. All right, now I was unable to get this area to not have a fence missing unless I use this half hipped roof piece. But if I use the half hipped roof piece, it's clipping through a little bit. No worries. Actually, what I'm going to do is move my platform up 1 more, and we're going to hide this little gap here by grabbing a platform trim, which is down here. Platform trims look suspiciously like foundations, but they are in fact not the same thing. They're not coated the same way. You cannot use them interchangeably. Of course, we do have to take care of these little octagon areas, which should be as simple as pulling our eaves out and then pitching our octagons down to make them more or less match up with what we've got going on here. And I can copy and place this roof piece over on this one as well. And sometimes octagons will clip in, like we can see this one's clipping in here for whatever reason. I really don't know. So instead of using the octagon there, I'm going to have to use one of my octagon hacks. My preferred method is to use diagonal half-hipped roof pieces on the sides. So I'm going to rotate this so that the hipped part of the half-hipped roof piece is facing out. I'm going to shrink this down. Copy, rotate, and place on this side as well. And hopefully it will also let me place a half gable in between them here. So now if I take my half gable and I make sure that these eaves are extended, where is it? There we go. Instead of 0, we're basically going to level 2. I'm going to pitch it down so that the frieze is no longer clipping through. And then these, I'm going to extend each once for the eaves and pitch them down to match. Okay, that's what I've got. And the last one we're going to do is the tower. Now for this, we're also using 2 roof pieces. We're going to use 2 hipped roof pieces. The first one, I'm going to extend the eaves twice and pitch it down almost all the way, just to the point where, like I said with the other roof pieces, the frieze isn't clipping through. But I don't want to leave it flat. I do want to give it a little bit of that tower flair. So I'm going to grab a second roof piece and actually just sort of leave it, I think, at default. No, that's a little bit tall, so we'll pitch it down a little bit. Now, if you want to give it even more interesting shape, you can press Shift-C to get extra curving controls, and we can actually drop this one down a little bit, which will smooth the transition. Next up, I'm going to grab some shingles. I'm going to go with these just plain old black shingles because they're my favorite, and I'm going to grab this beveled out roof trim in a similar black. Give it a nice solid edge. We do still have this little roof piece over here to do, but I want this to be a sunroom, so we're actually going to make it just a glass half gable. So I'm pulling all the eaves in, I'm bringing it down to just one tile, and I'm going to grab a nice glass roof texture. And if I pitch this all the way down, it does this weird, like, there's a hole in the roof thing, which is kind of strange, so I do have to pitch it up a little bit, but I think that'll be okay. And of course, we'll add a bunch of windows all around it. I think the tall walls on the first floor is the right call, so I'm glad I trusted my past self there. I'm even wondering about doing the second level tall. We don't have to worry about it messing with stairs, since we have a ladder going up to the tower. I don't know, is that too imposing? Well, if you don't like it, you can change it. There we go. I think I'm also going to keep the same foundation. I think we should do windows next. So I'm going to go with the highbrow anywhere I can fit it with the shutters, and then I'm also going to use the narrow outlook. And the reason I decided to go with these two is because I feel like the oblong pane shape is similar enough between the two of them that it's almost conceivable that they would have like sort of been installed at the same time. I'm also going to press F5 to enable quarter tile placement. I love doing this for windows because I feel like right here is too low and right here is too high, but right here is perfect. So I can get that easily and consistently without having to mess with alt placement or anything, just by turning on that quarter tile placement. Another reason I picked these windows in particular is because both of these window sets actually have white on the inside of the window, which I thought was pretty interesting, that they're black on the outside, white on the inside. So that was also a huge determining factor. I really want the windows to all look like they belong, and sometimes with the base game, if you're trying to use more than just one window, that can be a real challenge. Now, I can't quite see which windows I chose to use in the kitchen from my screenshots, so I'm going to leave the kitchen alone, and we're going to deal with windows there in just a second when we get to that part. Now, this little area here, we can't really access yet. Like, if I place a door here, obviously we're going to need stairs. Now, I could place stairs inside the tower, but I think I'm going to place them outside the tower instead. So I'm going to take the platform tool, and I'm going to hold Control and actually carve out a little hole here, so then I can grab stairs, spin it around, and place it like so. If I want it to be a little bit wider, I can do that too. Just make my hole a little bit wider and extend the stairs. So that will give me an access point. I could push it over this way as well, but oh no, wait, it actually is going to leave the fence right where I wanted it. Amazing. I don't remember it doing that before, so I actually prefer it here, but I had to push it off to the side because the game was being dumb apparently, but it's working now. Okay, I guess we need doors, which again, super duper limited. Both the tall ones are just way, way, way too modern. So I'm actually going to end up going with the double door framed by faux columns. And then for other doors leading outside, I think I'm going to stick with the mega double doors. I use this like all the time, but it's just such a timeless door. Like how could I not? So I'm going to allow deck access to both of these bedrooms and then also through the dining room and the kitchen. And I'm going to put a little deck out here, I think, off of our little sunroom. I did forget to add sunroom windows, so I'm going to go with these. They aren't super old-fashioned and traditional, but perhaps this was a more recent addition. We could use siding or bricks. I would like to use a combination. Specifically, I really want to use bricks on the tower. Like I mentioned earlier, I really want that to sort of stand out, and I'm fine with using a gray brick, but I don't think I'm going to use the brickery. It is just so plain. If I'm going to stick with a gray brick on this one, I'm going to go with something with a little bit more dimension, like the Industry Matters or possibly the Brickery Elite. Ooh, yeah, no, I like this one. And then for the rest of it, I would like to go with a nice siding that has so much more dimension. You know what else? I feel like we were lacking life before, and there's no reason. There's no reason that this build has to look so dead. I bet if we actually put in some flower boxes, oh, I think that looks way more homey. I'm going to grab some decking, and I'm going to go with black, because again, they do like dark colors. Now, for the rounded tiles, you can't actually rotate the direction of the floor, so you can see if I rotate it out here, it's still going to place in the default direction in the rounded tile, so I want to pick something that has the default direction I want, which I think is going to be this one. So I'm going to go with these wide planks everywhere outside, then of course switch out my stairs to match. Now the family before did have a closed-in backyard. I think we should keep that. It's going to be pretty small, but again, it's a 20 by 30 lot. If they wanted a bigger house, they need to move to a different lot. This was the wall used before, the brick one, which I don't mind. We can definitely throw that down and then grab a nice fence to place everywhere else. Now this one actually lights up, so it's really nice to use outside. Cute little lights on it, but it will not be an inside fence. You don't need your fences to light up inside. I mean, maybe you do. Actually, the more I think about it and how many times I've fallen down the stairs, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Anyway, let's grab some floor trim for our exposed deck edges here. Probably just something a little bit more on the simple side. I think the simple exterior trim might be good, or the jutting exterior trim in black to sort of help that fence feel a little bit more secure. Oh, and I would also like to go with the original columns still. I don't have anything against the original columns. I just have to decide if I want them white or black. The white definitely brightens it up a lot, but it's really busy in this specific fence. I know I did a lot of this beforehand, but let's be real, we all change our mind a million times, so I'm not going to allow you to judge me. This one's still a pretty ornate fence, but because it's just white on white and doesn't have that black and white combined, it's definitely a little bit less busy for the eyes. I take a look at my Pinterest board again. It looks like most of these fences are actually pretty simple, so maybe we don't need anything too fancy. Maybe that'll be fine. I definitely like the white better though. I believe this was the spandrel that was originally used on the house, so I am going to put it back just for that little bit of extra detail. Now, obviously, we still need landscaping. I am going to start with a couple of hedges. I think that makes sense. If you scale these down, they actually make cute little decorative trees, and it brings in some of that lightness of color palette that we're trying to chase down a little bit. Also, this lot has no good lighting. Okay, I think this is my selection. I'm going to use the, what are these called again? Hydrangeas. The blue hydrangea flowers in white, baby's bottom rose bush, red rose bush, and the low-lying pale yellow flowers because I always use those, as well as some hedges. I'm going to start by placing some of these around. One of my most given landscaping tips, I think, is to use the same general set of plants, but consider resizing them to get more of that variety so that you're not just using an obnoxious amount of flowers to get a variety, and you're also not just using like 3 different things over and over and over again. It gives you enough of a mix while still keeping it, you know, toned down and stylish, if that's your thing. Now, this is Willow Creek, which means the default rock color should be fine. I think I'll put a sculpture or a bird bath in this area. Maybe a fountain? Is that too extra? Is there such a thing? It is the Goths, not the land grabs, but I feel like that'd be pretty nice. And then I'll move the bird bath over to this side. Now I'll go in with my filler plant, just because I don't want too much dirt showing through. You know what? The backyard is super small. I really want another tree on this lot though, but I might put it like here, which is going to be terrible for the pool. There are going to be so many leaves in it. You know what? And a couple of wildflowers out here. I think that'll be really nice. Now we'll grab some dirt terrain paint. I'm going to go with Smarter Starter Soil. It's my go-to. And I'm going to paint under all of my foundation, as well as under all of the plants and trees and rocks. And I want to add a stone path here, so I'm going to start with some terrain paint, or start with some dirt terrain paint, and I'll go back over it with the stone. So I'll just lightly paint that down below. And while I'm out here and thinking about it, I will grab a mailbox and a trash can, which I'm actually going to place outside the kitchen door because you don't have to bring it to the curb or anything, and it's just so much more convenient back here outside the kitchen. Speaking of the kitchen, I guess we probably need to put floors down before we finish furnishing that, huh? I think I'm going to go with dark again, but I want to use a little bit smaller floorboards inside. I think this forest fine wood is about what I'm looking for. And then for wallpapers, before we basically had red, but I would like to branch out from that a little bit. We'll grab something with some paneling on it for the hallways. You know, honestly, maybe even keep that like classic goth wallpaper. Is this the one they had in there? No, they had the patterned one. This one, I think. Now we have multiple wallpaper options here. So the fair and square, pleasing profiles, dashing deco, strip of stripes, barnyard beauty, grand damask, modern brocade, and Eldon secrets all have the same paneling on the bottom. So you can really put these all throughout your house and it'll look really cohesive because you'll have a whole bunch of different colors and patterns of wallpaper, but you'll have all the same paneling, which is fantastic because it's the same color and the same shape. And we know how difficult that can be to, you know, come across. Stripes and solids will be more casual, so I want to stick with the patterned wallpapers for most of our first floor here. Now, of course, I will grab some stairs to match and grab some railings. Let's see, what did we end up going with outside? We might be able to use the same set inside, but I am going to leave it black, I think, to blend in with the floors and walls and everything. Oh, I know why the kitchen looks weird still. Because I'm missing the whole squared off bay window area. Well, as I say frequently, that is why it is build like a nerd, not build like a professional. Now for the interior doors, I would like to do a mix of arches and the double doors. So we'll place those there. I'm going to use an arch here, but I'm not going to use a tall one, even though I probably could use a taller medium one, just because I want it to be roughly the same height as the other doors we're using. I'll also have an archway over here, but since this this room is going to be an office, which I somehow forgot to paint. I'm going to use closing doors. I think I'll also connect this room to our little sunroom area. And then for upstairs, I'm going to grab a nice paneled door and make sure everybody gets a door to everywhere that they need to go. I'm going to let this bathroom be sort of Jack and Jill between the living room and the kitchen just for gameplay purposes. Now for the layout of the kitchen. I do want to place a nice set of counters right here just for a good workstation. And I'm going to use this refrigerator so that I can actually place a nice cabinet set all around it. I know we have the pantry as well, but if I place the cabinets over on that side, then I can put more counters over here. It'll make a little bit more sense when it comes together with the island. Or peninsula, rather. It is traditional to have some sort of dine-in space in these homes, in the kitchen, like a casual kitchen table, breakfast nook, something like that. However, given the limitations of the game and my own creativity and so on and so forth, I decided to go with a peninsula instead of perhaps a more traditional kitchen table. I do think that it works out in the end. Gives the home a little bit of modernity. And I can choose to either use more of the same windows and just sort of let them be higher than the rest, which will work out okay because it's a completely separate portion of the build. Like it's very clearly separated. We could even make it brick if we wanted to really draw the separation out, or I could go with a completely different window. However, I don't really hate that, so I think I'll stick with this. The last thing we need in here is a kitchen sink. And then to build up the little bit of pantry in here. I don't usually do these, so if I'm doing it wrong, I'm sorry. But I feel like this would be a good spot for a microwave and a dishwasher, possibly a cupcake machine, sort of appliances that might otherwise mess with your aesthetic. This is what I've got going for my kitchen. Ooh, wallpaper. Wallpaper would be a great idea, thank you. Good call. I think I'll go with this tile for the kitchen. When we furnish, I would like to use some like more decorative lighting, but I realized that for the base game upload, you'd probably appreciate some slightly smaller can lights. So for the base game options, I think I'm going to go with either the raw toilet or the old time antique toilet. Actually, I do like the shape on that one, so I think I'll go with that one. And I'm going to put the same toilet everywhere. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but I like to pretend that the Sims will not just walk across the house to a super far away bathroom if they have the same toilet everywhere. I like to pretend that that is the case. Same with the sink. So I'm going to use, I think this one actually, that goes pretty well with my tile just as is, unless there happens to be a black one with a blue countertop. I'll arrange it better as we go through. I just want to get like the basics down, you know? We'll throw it on a mirror in here and then this bathroom will be good to go. Oh, and toilet paper, I suppose. I do want to add a fireplace to a couple of the rooms here. I'm going to go with this one. How many fireplaces do you suppose we want in this house? Good answer. I think because this one has a fireplace, I might switch this one over to be Cassandra's and give this a more neutral tone to be the guest bedroom or nursery or what have you. Also, I've realized some of you might be upset about the more narrow staircase because the original one was so wide. If you'd like to, you could definitely have a 2-tile wide staircase in this home. It would work totally fine. You would just have to grab the fence and make it a little bit wider. This is what a few homes that can actually handle a wide fireplace, a wide staircase. You could even pull this wall out if you really wanted to. And if you didn't already know, I do make these sort of move-in ready, which means I'm not going to be adding a whole bunch of decorations and stuff. I want you guys to be able to furnish it however you want, which is one of the reasons I'm uploading a base game version as well as my furnished version. This window's clipping in, which I don't remember it doing before, and I'm kind of sad about it, but I think I'm just going to ignore it. Like, what am I going to do? Put a column over it? Actually, that would make a kind of fancy spot for the sink. Sure, why not? I shouldn't be recording this late, that's why not. Okay, now why are my windows doing this? This isn't what my windows are supposed to do. Oh, you know what? I don't originally have windows here. Oh, that makes more sense. Ooh, I suppose I do need to add a couple of chimneys. Okay, we will do that. I think I will use half walls. That's not tall enough. So I'm going to paint these inside and out with the bricks. I'm going to grab a nice half wall trim, and then I'm going to grab a chimney so that the chimney itself sort of blends in better with the build, like with the matching brick and everything, but it will also still smoke. So there's that. And then I think, do I have fireplaces on the side as well? I kind of do. I should be able to copy the same chimney and just place it here. I think that'd be a good spot for it. All right, make sure everything is looking good inside. Bathrooms are set, kitchen is set. I even remembered a mailbox, which is like a big deal. So this will be the base game version available, which I think I'll just call Ophelia Villa Shell. That provides a mostly finished base game version for anybody who may want one, and lets me explore the packs and explain my decisions between colors and just get like a better looking finished result, you know? I do want to switch out the cabinets though. I want to use vampire ones, and I'll be switching out my wallpaper in here as well. Normally I don't redo the kitchen, but I feel like these counters are too good to not use. I think the Goths would have a true appreciation for beautiful things of history while not necessarily looking down on modern conveniences. And I like that about them. This completely made up lore. Oh, that's green. I do like the green, but not for this house. Going back to the building with multiple packs question that I'm sure some people will have. This can also really help people see what's in each pack and decide if they want to buy it or not, because we all know the packs are not cheap. And if I can help you keep from spending money that is just going to get you a pack you're not actually that interested in, then please let me do that. I'm also really tempted to switch the floors out, not gonna lie, because I love these and this is more the width I wanted to go with anyway. And now we'll finish up the kitchen with a few nice bar stools. And I've pulled up my color palette to try to stick within it. So I want to bring in some of these grays and blues and maybe some purples and reds in the kitchen here if I can as well, which could be difficult, but this one's actually not that far off from what I have on my little palette here. And it brings some curves into the kitchen, which is nice. And I suppose we'll grab a trash can. I know that we also have one just outside the door, but it's nice to have a kitchen trash can. Now my real question is, should I put tile in the kitchen? I didn't before because I was having mixed feelings about it. Ooh, you know what? I was watching Kev the Builder's stream and he has a very specific floor pattern that he's created. And it took me forever to figure out how he did it. But it's a mix of these tiles and it makes this cute little like flower pattern. I'll try and grab a screenshot so I can actually show you what I'm talking about, because just trying to explain is weird, but also if you're not following him, you definitely should. We could do that too, which is pretty cool. Okay, I like that. And if you disagree, I am totally fine with that. It is kind of busy, but it's really cool, so I'm gonna keep it. Maybe that's the answer. Oh no, it still has the seams. I'm spending so much time on this floor. This is ridiculous. Somebody take the floor tiles away from me where you need to place a rug and move on. Let's see, what can I get with some more of these? This isn't bad, but it's really beat up. I'd like this if there was a not beat up version. I don't know if there is though. Oh, there is. Fantastic. Okay, so that'll fit right there, which will be very nice. And now I think we just need a couple of plants or kitchen decorations over here. I'm probably not going to go too crazy with decorating, but I definitely want it to be well furnished and like, you know, nice. It's a little bit more modern, but I'm okay with bringing some modern stuff in. Again, I don't want to just go like straight up old fashioned. These people are too classy for just old furniture, but I do really want to give them the same feeling of old furniture. Like quality stuff, as I put a bunch of recycled herbs on the shelves, but it's fine. Oh, I just realized we didn't actually change this room. I would like to grab some shelves for in here, like with dishes and stuff. Sure. Why not? Okay. And I think I'll also grab some of the parenthood stuff for over here. Oh, I guess the backpacks are base game, aren't they? Use a little bit of move objects magic to get these backpacks ready on the table. Cool. Okay, I'm content with that. I do want to see if I can do anything different with these lights. I keep saying I'm moving on and then remembering something else. Anyway, but I do just want a nice pendant, which is so tricky to find in the game, especially when you're working with the taller walls. We've got these lanterns from Batu, which are cool, but like so few people have that pack. Maybe just something simple like these. And then I'll put another one above these counters. Over to our formal living room. This would be a great way to bring some red in. I'm trying to pull in some artwork that also has some reds in it to bring the red around the room so it's not just the couch, but I don't want more red furniture as well. So this is what I've come up with for that. And I definitely want to bring a chess table in because that is a piece of furniture we absolutely cannot lose from this space. I think I'll go with this high school years one though. It's got a little bit of a smaller silhouette because it's got the circle top instead of square, and I do like that. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get good curtains here, but I feel like we have half a shot with these. If I can get them to all place decently. You know, like how do I feel about that going over there, but then does the other end work any better? That's just too many curtains. Now we could do that and just sort of pretend that the curtain slides around. I don't dislike it. I feel like we're leaning pretty heavy into the browns again though, and I feel like we need to bring gray in instead to keep it cool, otherwise it's not going to match up. So we'll switch this over. Okay, I've made an effort to cool it down a little bit. So this rug has more pink in it than red, but it has those cooler tones, and even though it does still have the beige and gold in it, I'm okay with that. The rug will bring in the cool blues and grays in our curtains and other furniture, along with the warmer beiges, golds, and pinks that will tie in our red and art. And put some nice candles out maybe. The original living room did have several plants in it, so I will grab a couple of those those as well. And, you know, maybe just a couple of casual artifacts. Nothing too crazy. This is where I'm going to leave this. Of course, if you decide that you want to add more or whatever, please do. And if you completely renovate this again and upload it to the gallery, please let me know. I'd love to see it. Now for the office, I feel like the only reasonable thing to do is grab the Book Nook kit, and we're going to build in some bookshelves and try to get a good mix of different colored books happening. Of course, we need a couple of desks. I think these fit really well back to back and make a really neat sort of like study vibe. Might not be big enough for 2 full desks, actually, if I want to put them back to back, which I really did, but upon further reflection, I think it's going to make more sense to have one facing the fireplace and maybe a smaller desk over here in the window. So we should be able to put this at a diagonal right there, which will make a nice little sort of writing area. Grab a nice big fancy chair for this one, and a slightly more lightweight chair for over here. I think if we add 1 or 2 more modern shapes per room, it won't overpower and will just sort of update. That's what I'm going to keep telling myself anyway. I am going to put computers in this room purely because this door can lock. So if you want to lock this so that your guests don't have access, you can do that, which I highly, highly recommend doing. I also wonder if one of these chases would look good. Definitely need some more light in here though. And I'm going to raise this floor mirror up so that it's going to look like it's actually sitting on the fireplace. I think that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna leave it like it is. Plenty of space for other people to decorate if they so choose. Now this room will be the more casual family room, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw a TV up on the wall. And I still want well-built furniture, but I'm not as concerned about it being ornate. I would rather it be more comfortable, so I might actually go with the horse ranch one. Let's see. All right, it is kind of on the warm side. Or maybe we bring the mauve in again and go with a good old cottage living. Little coffee table, simple rug, and this looks like as good a spot as any for an easel. Just a chill place to hang out, watch a movie, all those good family things. Of course, grab a couple of plants to bring some life to the space, and I think I'll grab some photos here. I want to see if I can actually get some pictures of the Goth family taken and put them in these frames. I think that'd be really fun. Moving on to the sunroom. This is pretty much a hallway as well, so I don't want too much crazy stuff going on in here, but some nice furniture would be good. I kind of like this simple bench actually. All right, I've decided to go with the flower arranging table in here, a couple of plants and a rocking chair and a little bench because it just feels cozy. I think it'd be nice to hang out in here. Onto a much more formal room. This one's definitely getting a lighting upgrade. So we do have these, which I think might be a little bit big. This is from Dine Out, which is a little bit more modern, but I kind of like the scales. Like it's a similar-ish pattern to the wallpaper. And we do have the vampires one, but I don't know if there's going to be a color combo that's not super vampire-y, or do we just go ahead and go full on black and red in here? Maybe we do. So bold move perhaps, but I've decided to actually shrink the dining room a little bit. I just couldn't get it to work for me, so I'm going to get rid of this line of terrain paint and replace it, which means there will be a slight discrepancy between the base game version and the furnished version in regards to room size, but I think that this fits so much better. So now we can really have it centered, and there's not an obscene amount of space all the way around, and then we still have this area to do whatever we want to do. I want this, except in a swatch that doesn't look moldy. Let's see, what do we got? And we do have fancy pants plates that might be nice to display here. Obviously, we need a huge piece of art over here. I like this one. It pulls in a lot of the same colors we already have going on, and it's like a family, you know, because we do still want this to be family oriented, even if it is kind of weirdly fancy. Okay, now looking from the top down here, does it look like all of this belongs in the same house, or have we gotten too far off? This room has a lot of grays in it, and the other ones have a lot more color. So I wonder if we need to bring more color in here somehow. We could pretty easily bring in some red tile. I actually kind of like that. Is this like how I'd design a kitchen if it wasn't the Goth's house? Probably not. I do really like the floors though, and I think that the red does bring in a little something that was missing. I think the hallway is a bit boring, but also too busy with the wallpaper. I don't want the walls to be completely boring. I think a simple chandelier and rug in the entry will be nice, and I'm trying to find the bowl full of sticks looking thing that the entryway had originally. There it is. Along with, of course, an umbrella rack and a thermostat so that anyone with seasons will be prepared. Upstairs, so in this space, I do still want to keep the piano up there, of course. So activities and skills, musical instruments, grab a piano. Now this one does come in red, so I feel like we have to do that. And let's grab a couple of the other instruments as well. And a microphone. Got a whole performance space happening up here now. Okay, now I'm going to switch this one over to pink because I'd like to put Cassandra in there, and her room was well, purple, but I think we'll update it to pink. And then this one, maybe gray. So nothing really too exciting happening in here. I do want a nice double bed. What do you think? Do you think she'd go for that with the little polka dots? Like, do I just go overboard with the pink? Because they went pretty overboard with the weird purple color, but I feel like the pink is much nicer. Okay, so just going through some of the swatches, because I realized I didn't even rotate through the swatches, and look at this with the little skulls. That's so fun. I think I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to keep the little skull bed. I think that's great. We're going to do a nice comfy chair over here. Kind of feeling the decor to the max one. And I want like a surface here, but I want it to be small. Now we can put a nice little set of books on there. Oh, I lied. Apparently books don't slot to that shelf. That's fine. We'll put the books over here. Oh, this one slots. Okay, perfect. Hedgehog for sure. And I think we'll put the cat succulent over here. Suppose we should grab some actual makeup. Again, not like super cluttered, just a little bit of that lived in look. There we go. Very nice. Now, I'm not super familiar with the family in the sense of I know like what skills and activities they're interested in, so I don't know really what else to put in here. Guest bedroom. I'm gonna throw this together really quick. I really don't want anything too fancy in here. I'm getting tired and I want to go to bed, but obviously we have to finish this project first. Maybe that's better. Bring in a little bit of the red, but it's still pretty chill. All right, simple desk. I think will do better than that table and chairs. That's where I'm gonna leave the guest room. Next, we will do the child's room. And yes, I will forever call him the child because I can never remember his actual name. You know what? Everybody else is getting double beds. You can have one too. Maybe just something nice and simple here for him. I want this shape, but a wood tone that matches the other pieces better. Oh, actually, that matches pretty well. Okay. Nothing too terribly exciting down here, really, because we're going to be doing like toys and stuff upstairs. I think I will give him some science things. And then upstairs, we'll put the other things. Nice big dollhouse, good old-fashioned Blarfy, an activity table, of course, and I think a toy chest, too. I do like this one. I feel like he'd be the kind of kid to put on puppet shows. I wonder where we could put one of those. Maybe we'll put that down here. We'll definitely give you a radio to listen to some tunes. I feel like we should bring some red in here since he did have red before I took it away from him. And one last room. I did not plan where I was going to put the bed in here very well, did I? All right, so now I can put the bed here directly across from the fireplace. How cozy. Kind of want to use this one. It's so big and fancy and it blends right in with the wallpaper. I also really want like his and hers dresser situation, maybe on either side of the big window here. One over here, one over here. And then a nice love seat in between. I love this one. I don't know if it's got a colorway that's going to work with us today, but it is such a lovely chair. Could go vampires again. How is it that there are so many great chairs in the game until you have a specific vision, and then there aren't any more good chairs in the game anymore? Riddle me that one. Maybe we scrap the chairs, we go for music instead, and then they dance together. There we go. That sounds cute. Then I just need a nice rug. I'm gonna get a nice little globe over here for some drinks. Drinks and dancing. Sounds lovely. Now, of course, we do have to finish up the outside here. I want some nice tiles for my pool walls. That looks good. Grab a ladder. Put the grill out here and then put the table over here. Now, they're just a little family, so I think I just need 4 chairs. I will grab another light to hang over the table over here. I do want a swing set out back. I love this one. And maybe a few little planters. And a little meditation stool under the tree. Okay. I think I'm going to put some hydrangeas back here just because I feel like it's a little bit barren. I think we did a good job though. High five, everybody. They fought me, but I got some pictures. I think that this looks like it was put together by Cassandra and that amuses me. So there we go. All right, so let's take a look at some of the before and afters. First of all, of course, we have to take a before and after look at the general outside of the build. I think that we kept the spirit of the original, but definitely improved it. I think the proportions are a lot better. I like these windows a lot better. And overall, it just feels more bright and happy. And I think this family is supposed to be bright and happy. They just really like dark colors. Moving inside, we can see the general layout changes. I know we added a few extra rooms, but I think that not only does that keep it more in the Victorian spirit of just having a bunch of extra rooms, but it also allows for more gameplay possibilities. Because if you have an extra room, you can fill that with your career unlock items or your cupcake factory, extra children, stayovers if you have the growing together pack. So I think extra rooms are always beneficial, especially in the rebuilds. Speaking of extra rooms, if we go back upstairs, we of course have the new guest room, which has been added along with the original 3 bedrooms. If we go through room by room and do some more like close-up comparisons, I know that a lot of these rooms are a lot smaller, but I think that helps it feel more full and complete without having to throw in a bunch of random stuff. Personally, I also think that our colors are a little bit more mature and collected compared to the EA build. After you've let me know which room is your favorite down below in the comments, feel free to check out one of these 2 videos. These are the past rebuilds we've done on this channel if you've missed any of them. Thank you guys so much for building with me today, and I look forward to building with you again very, very soon. Bye!